And I'll tell you when we get there. Hey, hey,
How do I how
we
do
are
I copy
live.
the link?
Welcome everybody to Vintage House. I'm your host, Lori Branch. What's up? What's up? We got Lauren Lowry in the house. Woohoo! And our special guest for the evening, promoter extraordinaire, Reggie Corner. Woohoo! Reggie's been wanting to get on the show for a minute. Now, Reggie's been on the show twice before.
Exactly,
Once.
with a team of people.
Once.
Just
Just one
once?
time.
Okay.
One time.
See, your
And with that
presence is
team
so
of people,
large that we
and with
thought it was
that team,
twice.
yeah, we had a
I
whole
thought
lot of we had a conversation, but it was about something different than what actually I don't know what we was talking about.
That's
we were talking
okay.
about all the promoters. So you were there with, with a gang of other promoters, including Kevin McSwain, if I'm not mistaken. There was
with
a
Kevin, John Hunt, and Kirk, but
That's
Kirk
right.
was one of the hosts.
right, and Kirk was hosting. Kevin was there as well. Was Lori? Everybody was there. It was like a party.
We had a big party. So tonight we're going to have another party, but it's going to be much smaller because
I
we get
can't wait.
Reggie all by himself. I know
Yes.
those of you who are watching want to hear what he has to say. I do too, because Reggie is going to keep it real. He has been advised by the many people on his Facebook feed to tell the truth,
Yeah.
to don't sugarcoat. So yeah, we gonna Jamie 326. He took a nap so he could see what's happening tonight.
So he could tune in.
That's right. Greetings.
There you go.
All right.
That's serious.
You got a little shout out from CJ. Thanks for checking us out, CJ Jones. Listen, we are excited to bring Reggie to the house. I talked to someone today who called you a fixture back in the day when we were starting this thing called house music. And I think back then, there it is. That's the person who called you that. Kevin Abdullah. Is that your brother, Kevin, in the shot? He kind of looks like you. Oh, that's Colin Kaepernick. Oh, y'all kind of look alike. Linda Red, what's happening, girlfriend? Thanks for checking us out. But Reggie has been around the block. He has been a fixture in Chicago house music. I would say in our scene, certainly pre-house music. He was a regular at the Music Box. He was regular at Sours. Started doing parties with his crew very early on. So we're going to get a look into his history. We're going to talk about what's happening now, and certainly a little bit of the noise that's going on in the community. We've touched on this in previous shows, and I think that's what spurred this conversation. Is that I think you wanted to set some records straight, so we'll get a chance to do that too. Is that a fair assessment, Reggie?
Yes, definitely.
Good. What's up, Tawana and Reggie Davenport?
Tawana was from the beginning. Dunbar. Used to do a lot of parties at Dunbar.
Okay, so let's go there. So before we get into the noise in the community, because I know you want to talk about that, just for the sake of our viewers, since we have you by yourself, let's hear Reggie Corner's story, when and where you entered when this thing called house music or disco or punk or sort of the predecessors to what we know as house music. Can you tell us a little bit about your story, Reggie?
Where it all started from. I'm from 22nd Estate, which is the Ickies, and Sowers was down the street. Playground was down the street. First Impressions was down the streets. So many different clubs. I mean, even in Jewtown, that wasn't too far. Everything was kind of like what we call like in the Mecca. It was like in a circle around in that area. So I started going out with someone that you know very well. Few of my friends from the Ickies, we used to go out a lot, which was Julio, which is AKA real name Dwayne Stepter.
Okay.
Dino, aka Dino Harold Price. Okay, Spanky, which is James. So
yes,
that was kind of, and it was a few other ones, but that
what year was this, Reggie? What year was this?
80.
1980. Sort of the same year we were all kind of hitting the scene.
yeah, we all kind of entered high school around that time, and some of it around in '79 because we would go by Sowers. It was in the neighborhood. That's like what 4 blocks away. So even we wasn't old enough, we would still go by and be nosy. But that was kind of how we started going to different parties around the city. So as we would go around the city to different parties, we end up meeting people from all over, west side, north side, south side, everywhere. So that's kind of like what was the birth of us going to the parties because it was in our neighborhoods.
Talk about a little bit about the parties. I think that many people who watched the show weren't there, and sort of a lot of this, the noise that I was referring to earlier, is about the kind of who was there and who wasn't there, because there does seem to be kind of a longing to want to belong to that period. I mean, I think of it for ourselves. It's like us wanting to be part of Studio 54 or Paradise Garage when we didn't live in New York or we weren't there, but just the legend of it is enough to want to make you wish you were there. So what was it? What was happening at that time that made it so attractive for people who want to keep revisiting it, and for those who weren't there to wish they were there? What was happening?
I would say we kind of went in the beginning because there was a lot of different people that wasn't actually from my neighborhood, so we was just venturing out, and for us there was a lot of different women that wasn't from my neighborhood.
Okay.
And the music was the background. And then we started listening to this music, and it was like, man, I hear this in my house. I'm the youngest out of 10. So a lot of that disco, I had to listen to whatever they played. So some of the music that was in my house, that wasn't necessarily played on the radio, was at the party. So I was familiar with it. And we liked to dance. So that was the thing that brought us to the parties. And I mean, that's pretty much what it is, meeting a lot of people from all over the city that we never, it was just like opening up a can of worms. We was able to meet people from all over the place. I mean,
go ahead, Reggie. Sorry.
Like Kevin's from out south, right? I wouldn't have never met him if I didn't attend those parties. From Kevin to Hans, his brother, Al, all of them, they was the Rude Boy, we was the Fly Boys. Lee Collins, he was from Dunbar. I went to Phillips. So I hung out at Dunbar a lot. So they kind of like thought I went to Dunbar. Played football for Phillips, but a lot of the football players at Dunbar was friends of mine, but they was preppy. So that kind of had the connection. Plus then the attraction from, the clothes, the style, the music. Then I met people from the north side. Mike Jones, Keith, Tara, Pepper, Wolf, all of them. They was from the Lincoln Park area. Linda, and all these TT party all the time. So it was adventurous to go all over.
Who was in the Fly Boys, Reggie? Who were in the Fly Boys with you?
Me, Lee Collins, Billy McClinton, Julio, James, Spanky, Eddie, Joe. It was a bunch of us. Charvis, see, that's what was so great. Charvis was from Oak Park. We would have never met him, due to the
from
park.
Oak Park. That's interesting. Kevin McClain. Interesting. So y'all just kicked it at the parties. Y'all just went to all the parties and danced and hung out?
Yeah. I mean, we kind of met each other at the parties. And me and Mike Jones was talking earlier about some of the things about, he had put on a flyer that was up, keep it real 100. The parties it was a preppy crowd. Mike was from the Pellegrini Greens. We from the Ickies. We just came onto the scene, and it was kind of bougie, you know, preppy, and they had their cliques. And he was talking about nowadays, the difference is that people are not accepting people. I said it wasn't no different then. We came from the projects. We made our own way. We didn't have to be accepted by the crowd. We came for the music.
Right.
We didn't come to be liked.
Did you felt that there were cliques even back then that that were based on class or where you were from? Can you talk about that a little bit?
Well, you had the Hyde Parkins, you know, the Kenwoods, and you know, there was a difference with people from what was out over east, you know, the Beverly Hills area. But the schools that was promoted to for these parties was like the Catholic schools, or what you would call the good schools. Wasn't really promoted, you know, to DuSable, you know, Westinghouse, places like that, until later on. But in the beginning, they kind of kept it with the Catholic schools and the, you know, the Kenwoods and Hyde Parks and Unity and places like that, you know, cathedrals, all these different places. Those kids would come to the parties. Right. So they would click because they knew each other from schools.
Exactly.
They went to school with each other. So they might have been introducing each other, but it was still a clique. But we feel like we had to belong to the clique. You know, and one of the things is back then you could come into the clique, but you had to be introduced by someone.
Okay. Did you join a clique? Did you stay sort of the Icky's clique or what? Who was your clique and who was comprised of it? You name a few names, but how did you engage the other cliques?
We didn't really engage. We just met people from all over. I mean, like I said, Charles from Oak Park, right? How did we meet him? You know, Kevin, Hans, they was from out south. You know what I mean? Lee Collins, he stayed out south, sort of, and in the hundreds. So, you know, we had Curry and Kent. They was, you know, from King. We met people from different schools all over the city. And that was just because we just kept it real. We was open to anyone. And the difference is, just like now, it's easier to get into what they would call the in crowd.
Right.
Versus back then. It might have, you know, it was kind of hard. They didn't accept you because you didn't go to their schools or you didn't live in their neighborhoods or nobody introduced you to, why are you talking to them? You know, look at his clothes or whatever it is. You know, you just couldn't get in back then. It was harder. But we made our own because we accepted everyone. So it was so like you had no choice. You had to deal with us.
Right. I like that. I think that, you know, this is going to be the theme of the night, I think. This sort of, you have to make your own way. And we're going to talk about that in a bit, Reggie. But Kevin wants to know about the softball game.
I'm too old. You want to play another softball game, or is he talking about the softball game, the music box versus the power plant?
I'm guessing it was that one.
Okay, at the Belmont Rocks. Okay. I mean, what do you want to know? He was there.
Okay, what do you want to know, Kevin? Well, I guess it was let's talk about the music box, because that was a place where, you know, a lot of people sort of draw the line on sort of where you started. And was the warehouse a part of your experience, or was sort of the music box? So you were kind of more in the music box camp. I know that Robert Williams is a friend of yours. So just curious about your history, you know, with that scene, that part of the scene.
The warehouse, we was a little young, but we went to the warehouse. Okay. The first time I went was with Gino. Some people call him Dino, you know, but he was like, man, we got to go here. We got to go here. So it's like, okay, let's go. We used to go and hang out. Like after Sours, we would just kind of pile up in the car. I remember one time Kevin Abdul was in the car with Charvis had a Camaro, and it was 9 of us in the car at one time.
Wow.
And we would just go over there and kind of hang out and just be outside or hang out in the parking lot. And one time I tried to get in and I was all sweaty because I just came from Sowers. And I was like, walked in and Braswell was at the door and was like, you wasn't in here. And I was like, how did he know that I wasn't in this party? I'm dripping wet. Come to find out that it was a membership club. So they basically knew everyone who came to that party. So he knew I wasn't in there because I wasn't a regular. Or, you know, when you work the door, you kind of remember everybody who pays. So we would end up, you know, just going to hang out. But my first experience in the warehouses with Gino was like, wow, that was crazy. You know, the sounds, you know, it wasn't like it was a big old room. The sounds was all over my place, you know, all over the room. Plus, it was predominantly gay. So it was like, oh, shit, what the fuck am I in? Excuse my language, but that's how I felt. You know, so I kind of like got against the wall and was like holding there. And I seen Sheree Wallace and this guy named Ruben.
Hey, Wallace. I haven't seen her.
And the guy named Ruben, and they just took over the dance floor. And it just like, you know, it just blew my mind. It was the John Travolta moment, Saturday Night Fever. And I was like, you know, this is really crazy because most of the parties that we attended was in big halls and music bouncing off the walls and everywhere, you know, but this was built, the sound system was built for the building.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like being inside your car with a stereo. So it was like all over me. Although the sound systems was great in these big halls, but it was still like, you know, 30, 40 foot ceilings, you know, sound bouncing all over the wall. This was a club. So it was like, it was, you know, it was a little bit different. But the music box, it depends on when you're talking about which music box.
Yeah, there were two music boxes, and I know this well because I DJ'd that was my first residency at this place called R2 Underground. So R2 Underground was owned by the same guys who owned the Ritz, which was over there like near the Gold Coast, Rush Street. They opened up a second club. Craig Cannon got me a night there. It's like 82, 83. And then they sold it. I don't know how it switched hands, but it ended up being the music box after the music box was on 13th.
Yeah, it was
Street. So talk about that.
Some bills probably wasn't really played. How we end up on 16th in Indiana was because in promotion, you know, when I got into the game is Butch and Craig. Butch and Craig taught me the game.
Mm-hmm.
I was working for them and they basically, you know, mentored me and taught me, you know, the game. So we would go from the playground. After the playground, we would go down to the music box because Robert went down there and got Donzel and Pat to work security. So we had, you know, familiar friends working. So we would go down there to hang out after the party, you know, do the playground. And then after the music box left 16th and went downtown, we was then that was the normal party. We was a fixture, you know. Wasn't no more playground for me. I mean, it was changing hands. We was getting a little bit older. We looked at the party and was like, this party's a little bit more intense. The women are a little bit more older. You know, and then, you know, the DJ, you know, Ron just was on another, you know, a different level. It seems like, you know, playground was like the kiddie place.
Yeah, so yeah, that's how I remember it.
Yeah, and then when we went to, you know, it was like, hey, this is for the grown folks.
Mm-hmm.
Although we not grown yet, but we was always doing things with people older than us. Even when we went to the parties as a teenager at 13, it was still, we was hanging out with 15 and 16 years old.
Yeah.
So
I think you're making an important distinction because it's not something we talk about a lot. But you know, the music box and the warehouse was an older crowd, and the playground and Sowers playground was even younger. Like Sowers sort of was like a bridge crowd. You know, you had some people who were a little bit older. Go ahead.
Because of the college students,
right?
They will go, and especially, you know, a lot of the holiday parties. So they would come home, and this is where they would go to.
Come right to Sours.
So,
That's exactly the flow. Yep.
So that was like the difference in, you know, the parties. You know, me and Robert always have this this argument about, well, this party was more intense than that. I was like, Robert, some of the same music was played. The difference is they was older. This party was a little bit more intense. It had a lot of things that grown folks do that the kids didn't do.
Right.
You know, as far as drugs, alcohol, or whatever. But both of the parties played similar music. You know, the music at the music box or the warehouse was played a lot longer due to the fact that there was one DJ and he give you the whole experience of the whole song.
Yes.
That one of the parties that was at one of the halls or high school, you had multiple DJs. So it was like a battle. Who's gonna play? You know, I got 2 hours to play or an hour to play. I gotta play all the cuts. So I gotta shorten that up versus playing for an hour and I'm gonna get 3 songs out of it, because some songs can last 10 minutes, 15 minutes.
That is such a great point that you're making, and it's not one that we ever really talk about. Like, why would some DJs play, you know, what they say, let the song breathe? And Frankie and Ronnie were good for that. But you were right. You know, they might have had an opening DJ. Mike Winston would open for Frankie sometimes, but that was super early. And then they played for a stretch of 5 or 6 or 7 hours. So they had the luxury to let the song breathe.
Yeah, Ron played by himself. So one of the things is I got an 8-hour gig. How do I do, you know, or even longer? You know, from 12 to 12. The party didn't necessarily always last to 12 o'clock, but, you know, the next day. But am I going to sit up here and play 100 songs in the next 2 hours? Or I'm going to let the song breathe. And within an hour period, if I play, you know, 10 minutes a song, I got 6 songs out of that hour. Now, how many songs can I get in that hour if I just go for 2-3 minutes?
Do you think that that had an impact on how people were seasoned to appreciate house music? So if you were part of the warehouse and the music box scene and you were used to a journey, Paula Matthews just said, you know, that you went on a musical journey every time. And a musical journey is not like two minutes of this song and a minute of that song and 30 seconds of that song. It's really like kind of it's a trip that you're going on. And typically those are DJs who have the ability to flex that way because they can be there all night. So they can take you up, they can keep you high, they can bring you down, they can bring you back up. They have the luxury to do that. And certain people like us were sort of trained, you know, to listen to music that way versus people who might have been coming out to the playground or some places like that. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, that's funny why you say that, because that's exactly what I do. People try to figure out, and it goes into the DJ. So just a little bit early for us to start talking about that, but I got to touch on it a little bit. My format and my style of a party and what I would really like, but I still have to do what the public says. I would prefer one DJ only. Every house needs one maestro.
Yes.
Because that one maestro can give you all of him. When you make music, you're making your art and you want people to hear every note from the beginning to the end. You can't do that when you got multiple DJs. But you can do it when you have one maestro and he's going to let that song ride. And that's why we deal with the EQs and all that, because we take the song and even Ron would take songs and say, oh, this is too short. Let me make it a lot more longer.
Yes, he did.
And
Frankie did that too.
Yeah. That's what all the, producer DJs do. That was the early start of being producers, as a DJ, is let this song breathe and let me give them all of the song. I just look at dancing. Dancing is sort of routine. So when you dancing, you kind of want to hear a song, the peaks and the valleys and everything. So you can know what moves you can make off of that song. But if you keep changing the song on me, I can't catch the groove. The groove is, you didn't change my rhythm. It's just like when a DJ gets into that zone. A dancer can get into a zone. But if you keep taking the music and chopping it and bringing it all over the place, your zone is very short. Music is melodic. You get off into it and then you just go to another place, and that's the purpose of it. And when you chopping it up, I think the purpose is lost. That's the underground, style of music of what we do. And DJs keep saying, why you don't do this or whatever. I'm McDonald's. I sell the Big Mac. So this is what I'm trying to give you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I stick to the format of trying to have one maestro per party.
Mm-hmm. And that tends to work for you.
Yeah. And it works for me because I learned that format. And the wheel keep turning. It's just about like Kirk Townsend was like, the wheel keep turning. It's the same. It's just when you when you jump on the wheel, where you place. If you gonna go around smoothly or you gonna make waves, because the wheel ain't gonna change.
So maybe what you're describing is a reason that people long for something that they did not experience. Because if my orientation is the music box and the warehouse, and the clubs like the Bitter End and the other clubs that were on the South Side that were sort of little, maybe pre those days, but help to inform that crowd. It was about a musical journey, as Paula was saying, and that you expected a song to be played until the end or until like a later break, so that you could get into it. I think about Ain't No Mountain High Enough. Like if a DJ to this day, if a DJ cuts that off before the break or at the break, I am just like floored, because I'm like, you missed the point of the song.
Yeah.
The point of the song don't happen until like way towards the end.
The build up. So
right.
I'm dancing and I'm real smooth
Yes.
and I think I'm cool, and then here come this break, and then I can snap out, and then maybe the song will go back down. But the thing is, I experienced that whole moment. And when you chop it up, you take that moment away from me. And from us, from the beginning of things, our ears, we was trained that way. So that's what we do. And people like, well, what's wrong with something new? Ain't nothing wrong with nothing new. But that's your thing. And if you can make it work, make it work.
Right.
But this is the format that I was taught, and that's what I'm grounded with.
I'm with you.
I can change, and that 2 DJ, 3 DJ, resident. Okay, fine, but I still think that one DJ should be in that particular house. If that's a weekly party, that one DJ
that's
should
the point.
Be the maestro.
But that's the point that you're making. So if it's a weekly party, that makes sense. So you do both. You've had residencies as a promoter. So the Renaissance is one of your places. Name some other places where you have had, the opportunity to do weekly. And maybe you could talk about the difference in that and then putting on an event. Because you have to handle that differently, right?
I have to. My memory's bad. So I will probably have to go in my drawer and grab out all these flyers.
There you go. I might be able to help you out too.
If I remember, starting off, I was doing a lot of, when house music kind of got a little bit disappeared and, went a little bit deeper underground, I was doing the hip hop parties. And Gino died. So I did a memorial party for him. That was 20 years ago. This is my 20-year anniversary of the way we were. And I did this flyer for his memorial party.
Okay.
Congratulations on 20 years.
So I got with Robert and got a lot of the, old flyers and to do the party so I can let people know we gonna take this back, Actually on that party with Andre, Lee Collins, and Sada, right? Because Sada was friends with Lee, but Lee was always been my friend since high school. So residents, we started out doing parties. Damn, where did that picture come from?
Little surprise picture.
Oh, I need to see that because
see that again.
There's a few people that I haven't seen in a long time.
Okay,
we need to ask you about that. That's why it's up. We want to ask questions about that.
Okay. Well, starting out, we didn't do like weeklies. It was like monthlies or every other month because the scene wasn't strong enough to keep the party going. So I would do different things downtown in different places.
Okay.
Red No 5, I would pop up there. Club Exhale, different lofts. We was looking for all kind of places. Then we did something else. Then we said, well, okay, we're gonna try it. Hans called me like, man, I got this place over here on Stony Island. I'm like, okay, Hans, what it look like? I'll be through there. So we started doing a party and we call it the Concrete Jungle. So it was me, Hans, and Tyrell. So we ran those parties like once a month, and it was very difficult to get to people because you couldn't put posters up, you couldn't find people. So you know, I had already been creating from the different places I was at a mailing list, because we actually had to mail you and put the stamps on and go to the post office and mail them off. After the Concrete Jungle, well, before we did the Concrete Jungle, I was running Andre, Jamie, and DJ Reg as 3 DJs, like in rotation. They wouldn't. It wasn't like they was, you play this party, but you won't play that. I would just change their rotation in the party. Like you would open up, he would close. You know, you would play the middle slot. So I just kept those 3 DJs because I wanted to have one. So when I went to the basement by myself, Jamie was the resident. But at the same time, there was people that wanted, like it was something better out there. So I had to bring guests here and there because you got to hear what the people say. Because I tell people, I have never really chose DJs to come and play. The people choose who should be playing. Because if nobody's ringing, you know, talking about you or you know, excited about seeing you or hearing you playing, how could I bring a DJ that no one knows? So that was sort of the start of, well, the weeklies. You want to get into the weeklies. So weekly parties was kind of difficult, you know, because a lot of places didn't particularly like what you were doing. So it wasn't exactly every week. It would be a monthly party or every other month or whenever, holidays here and there. So I think one of my first, was that the Negro League? I think it was the Negro League. I was doing a Thursday, you know, the Shrine. That was Sunday, me and Terry. And that was, you know, did the dating game for a while. Somebody need to help me. I did this so much, my man.
Hey, let me see if this helps you. I want to share this picture again, and let me know what this picture. Let's see if I can get that up there. Yeah, there we go. I'm gonna share this picture again. Tell me about this group.
Wow, that's Mark Billinger with his hand over his face. The guy with the scarf, I don't know if that's Alan. And why do I not remember this boy next with the striped shirt on? That's Philip, or what is his name? I haven't seen him in 30 years. That's what it seems like. Do you know his name?
You know, Lauren dug this picture up. Tell us about the picture.
Lauren, right in the middle.
I wish I did know his name. This is part of the Dance Music Collection's Craig Cannon's collection. That's in the Dance Music.
To bring that up, Mark with his hand, okay. Mark went to King, but Mark was from out in the hundreds, and my sister stayed out there. So Mark was one of my friends in the beginning, you know, in high school. Mark introduced me to Craig. I tell his story, but it's kind of weird. The music box might have not happened at that location if Craig would have just did what we wanted to do. We wanted to help Craig promote, and we wanted to hit the streets the way we was, you know, the way we promoted, because the playground was over. So it was like, let's take that machine, how it was ran, and let's bring it down here. But before you know it, as we was in negotiations and trying to get it done, magically Robert Williams ended up getting the place.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So that was a wrap. Then I was like, oh, well, Robert got it. It's over with. You know, you out of here. Because Craig didn't even know anything about getting people in the streets, you know, to come to the party. It was almost, you know, you tell the friends and they was just coming. But promotion, they didn't have any promotions for the R2 Underground like that. So we wanted to blanket the whole city with, you know, with posters and make it jump. And Mark was the one who actually brought me to Craig.
Okay.
And that's wild. Mark,
so someone asked, was Butch in that picture?
Butch.
Yeah. I don't have it up.
No. Which Butch did you talk? Butch Cassidy?
I'm not sure which Butch they're talking about.
What year was that? Where were you, and what year was that taken? Would you sort of? Unfortunately, we can't ask Craig now, who, of course, unfortunately left us. But you know, we didn't get all the details for some of these pics.
That might have been downstairs. That might have been downstairs in R2 Underground, because Craig stayed downstairs.
Did he really?
Yeah, he stayed downstairs.
Yeah, it was a pretty cool club, and it changed. Like, it changed, you know, when although it became a music box.
It was crazy. You know, R2 Underground is in the basement, right? But it was a sub basement under that basement.
Right. There's a
so
lot.
You remember when the city flooded and the river and all that happened with the tunnels? So you know all the buildings downtown kind of got flooded. And you was like, no, they don't look like it got flooded. The basements are fine. They got basements under the basements.
So I remember it.
Levels down. So that picture, basically, I believe that was in Craig's spot.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I love that place. So listen, you wanted to be on here for a specific reason, and I want to give you an opportunity to clear the air, because there were things that were said, there was stuff you disagreed with. We talked a little bit about it on the phone before, and I think it has something to do, you know, with some things some other guests have said. But let's talk about what's on your mind. What is on Reggie Corner's mind to set the record straight? Whatever needs to be set straight. So let's do that.
Well, in order to be part of the congregation, you got to go to church.
All right. Tell us what that means.
You got a lot of members. What that means is you got a lot of people talking about house music on the internet, and the promoters, the DJs, you know, they need to retire. You know, DJs don't retire. They just spin around. They don't get old. They just spin around. Then it's all a chatter, you know, that we stopping, or I'm stopping people from actually doing what they want to do, right? You know, it's not, you know, it becomes like you're trying to find out, how do I become a DJ? You probably need to get a manager. Do DJs need to retire?
Yeah, I just asked that question.
DJs don't retire; they just spin around. Herb Kent died, and he still was the DJ. Sam Chapman still DJ. So it's a sport that you don't. It's like golf; you get better as you get older. So
I have to agree.
Yeah, most of the people are trying to figure out, how do you get in, and they didn't change it around to like, how do you get into a congregation and you don't go to church? Which means that you don't attend the parties, but you just talk about the parties. And there's something wrong. Since you don't get in, now you become envious and you want to tear it down. That's why you're on the internet every day talking about, you know, people, what they doing. Or there go Alan King. Alan, you need to retire, you know, so you can make room for me. Now, I'm the CEO of a company, right? And you telling me that I should retire so you can take my job. No, you should find a way to get your job, because this one is mine. And, you know, the thing is that, how do I pick DJs to DJ? I really don't pick DJs, you know, and they say it's favoritism, this and that and another. I don't think it's favoritism. I choose DJs based on whether the people are willing to come hear them. Whoever they are. I don't have to like you. in order to work with you.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, every time you turn around, there's negative and envious people on the internet. It doesn't bother me because I use your hate for your energy. I get tired, you know, I work hard and, you know, I get kind of frustrated. And then I see, you know, people putting up negative stuff. That don't do nothing but giving me energy to keep going on. You know, I work hard when I'm woke. When you sleep, I'm still working. And when I'm asleep, you keep my name in lights because you're always talking about me. And you don't even know me. These people are not part of the congregation because they don't even go to the parties.
So why does it bother you?
It doesn't bother me. It bothers other people because they are potential people may come to a party, right? And they may say, well, I ain't going out because it's nothing but bullshit and house music. But it's not. You fail to realize the reason why I go to a party is to hear music, not to see you people. If I, you know, congregate with some people, that's fine. But I'm there to hear this music. And most of these DJs or wannabe promoters or whoever they are, most of them look at something that they want. And since they can't have it, it's got to be somebody else's fault. It's not my fault that you're not DJing.
Right.
It's your fault because I don't know you. Make me know you.
Okay. Make him know you, people.
You know, and then look, if you're on the internet and you're DJing and you're throwing a picnic, you think that's the format because you watched other people and you figure that, man, I'm going to throw me a picnic and then I'm going to get recognized or I'm going to be live on the internet and they're going to see my music and hear my music and they're going, man, now they're going to put me on. You got to put yourself on.
Yeah. Yeah.
And most of those picnics ain't going to work anyway. That ain't going to get you no shine. That'll give you 15 seconds, but what's that going to do for you?
I agree.
How do people reach you though, Reggie? How, if there's
you walk up to me and say, man, how do I get on? Then maybe I'll tell you how you get on. Now I'm telling you now how you get on. The people are the ones that put you on because they're going to talk about you, man. This man cold, she's hot. You know, we throwing a concert. You put out a hit record, we bring you in. So the difference is you hot, I have no choice but to put you in.
You know, it reminds me a little bit of the record industry. And I think there's something about the DJ world that people have a different set of expectations about. So like if you're not like selling records or if you're not sort of, you know, making money or making waves, you know, doing something already to get attention that you've generated yourself, you're not likely to open for like some band, you know, on the road. You know, you're not just going to be able to talk to somebody and say, can I open? It's like you got to have a track record before you get there. And that takes some time to do. Yeah. Most people are not going to come out the gate and just, you know,
they want it overnight and they think that, okay, you want me to do a party with 3 people, right? Give me 3 people. I'm going to put them on the ticket and I'm going to promote it like it's crazy. Now, what are people going to do? Are they going to pay attention to this and say, okay, I'm going to go to this particular party, right? Why? I don't know these people. I haven't heard them before. Now, you may have some people that's, you know, want to hear something different or they're curious and they may go. But the bottom line is, if that's going to be enough to pay the bills.
How do Timmy McGallis said, how do I get on, Reg? How does he get on?
How do he get on?
Tell Timmy, give Timmy a little lesson right now.
Listen, Timmy already know the lessons because actually I hung out with Timmy's cousin that's been my friend since we've been kids. You know, she's one of the beginning and the start. So he knows how to get on. Timmy just, I think, he is a little bit hard-headed because he wants to do what he wants to do. Now he may disagree with me because
what you think, Timmy?
he wants what he wants, right? So he plays the music that he wants to play the way he wants to play it. So we have to create a crowd and an audience for him.
Okay.
But the audience that actually go out, there's different kind of audiences. So you choose what you want to play. People say, well, new music, old music, in between. You got to have your own format.
Right.
Because the commercial music, right, house music that's commercial. That's the biggest crowd, but they would not come out every day. They may come
Right.
out once or twice a year, but that's the biggest crowd. So if you go to a commercial party and play something different, you ain't gonna be invited back. Now the crowd that goes out every day of the week are people who want to hear new, in between, and old.
Okay.
People that want to hear new music, they don't go out as much, and it ain't that many of them. Now, when you go to another one, when you go to kind of eclectic, B-side, the Dirty Dozens, that's a smaller crowd. They don't come out very often. But when they come out, they go out. So if that's the lane that you choose, then that's what you choose. It's just like I hear these cats talking about techno. Well, house music came from here and EDM. What does that have to do with anything? You're not playing EDM. So how can you get EDM money? There's no way. But you keep talking about where they came from house music. They not paying homage to us. And I don't understand what you mean. It's a whole nother format of what they're doing. So if you in that lane and you're driving, then you stay in that lane. You don't cross over. So if you decide that you want to be a commercial house music DJ, then that's the lane you do. Now, the best thing in the world to do is just like with Frankie Knuckles when we was talking about, Frankie wanted to take music to the future, and he wasn't really playing the old stuff, and kind of the crowd was resistant, and then he picked up a newer crowd. He did what he needed to do for him. But I would always say, well, why don't he just come home sometimes and just give us, that old vibe again, just come on back home one day.
Yeah, I remember that a lot, that people would be disappointed because that's what they were used to. And he was over doing something else.
It'd be like maybe at the end of the night, he play a couple of songs, and it was like, those songs would last because it was like he was playing one record for damn near 20 minutes. But, we was expecting something else and got this. But people would be
disappointed. I remember that.
But I look at it like this: a person that's double-breasted, that's able to do whatever you when in Rome, do what the Romans do, and then you'll be okay.
I want to talk a little bit about Soul Frika. This is. I know this was a while ago, but I reason I'm bringing up this flyer with DJ Alicia and Miss Nikki, both of whom I love, is that one thing I appreciate about you is that you do you do pay attention to women. And it's something that DJ Lady D and I talk about. A lot of folks talk about that they're promoters who often, they have party after party after party and don't put women on. When we know that there are women who get down, like DJ Alicia, like Miss Nikki, like Mimi Hughes, like so many folks who are watching tonight. Can you talk about your experience as a promoter, as a person in the party scene with women DJs, and sort of where are we at with that, and how can we ensure that women have a more prominent place, especially ones who are able to bring a crowd?
That might get me in trouble.
Okay, go ahead.
No, but as far as women, I recently was talking to Alicia, and people have a lot of different opinions about things, but I look at things like this. It's my brand and my business. And I do what's best for me because I pay attention to what the people say, and I try to get what they want. I don't even care what you play. You can play country and western. If you came to me and said you can get 1,000 people in the building, we're going to be doing some country and western. But the thing is that I really don't even listen to the music while DJs are playing because I'm constantly paying attention to what's going on in the party, and I'm trying to make sure everything is going right. And I don't very seldom. Anybody see me at a party, they know I don't stand still too long.
I understand. So would it be fair to say, Reggie, that you are not necessarily trying to help promote DJs? You're really there about promoting the party and for the party goers.
It's the experience.
And that if somebody comes to you, they kind of have to have it together already. They have to have a crowd. They have to go ahead.
That's something totally different. You hire me as a manager, then I'm gonna manage you. But if you come to me as business, I don't understand how do you want me to take a hit. You know, this is a gamble. Every time you throw a party, it's a
Right.
crapshoot.
It's a
But what you
gamble.
do is you try to stack the dice. You know how you take
Mhm.
the dice, you stack them up, and then you
Yeah.
throw them. So you
Mhm.
trying to just stack them where you know the odds of being in your favor.
Mhm.
You know, if you go in it half cocked, the odds are against you already. So what could you possibly do? You have
Yes.
to choose people that got some kind of momentum in there, you know, that's moving forward.
Got it.
And you can choose, and I have chose DJs that I actually like the way they, you know, I might like the way, you know, your style because it's you got to give me something to work with. You know,
Gotcha.
it could be your hair. It could be like, oh,
Mhm.
playing the music. I get
Mhm.
that.
Mhm.
Okay, but you got this look because it's a difference. The DJ used to be in the background and you never saw them. You just heard
Absolutely.
their name. Now they want to touch you. They want to smell you. They want to feel
Mhm.
you. They want to
They want
look
to take
at
pictures with you.
you. Yeah. So I got something that I can actually sell to the people. You
Like
know,
that.
I give it up to Dwayne Powell. Dwayne Powell got this style that just make people gravitate to him. You know,
Mhm.
and it was like, man, Dwayne, he DJing? What was that? You know what I mean? So it was like,
Yeah.
okay, came out, he got this style. That style is something that you can promote.
Mhm.
It fits,
Mhm.
you know, it fits on images and you can sell that. It's a
Mhm.
product that you can sell and then people are intrigued about it and then they'll
Mhm.
come. And then
Mhm.
you got to catch them with the music. Because if you don't actually get them with the music, then they're gonna leave you. Oh, that was garbage. You
So
know.
people come to parties with different expectations. I think you're making a
Yeah.
really good
I
point.
mean, like the women, I talked to Alicia and then she was like, well, the skill. First of all, what I see in a woman,
Mhm.
right? A woman
Okay.
gonna win. A woman is gonna win automatically just because she's a woman, because the women are gonna come to the party just because they're gonna advocate for you. So
Mhm.
I already got something I can work with.
Right.
Then, you know, it depends on how you look, how your hair, what you wear, and all this.
Mhm.
That's another catch. And then if you can put it down, oh, you got a package. I can sell that all day. Women
Mhm.
are, you know, I mean, men look at them like, oh, it's a man's world, but a woman can bring a whole lot of flavor to the party. And a
Mhm.
woman can hold down a resident without a doubt. You have plenty of them.
Mhm.
It's something a woman gonna win just because they gonna champion for just because she's a woman. You got people that,
Interesting.
and then
We
it
could.
becomes kind of twisted though, because
Okay.
once you make it, then here come the hate. And
Yes.
it's not hate, it is envy because people don't want to see you because they can't have it. They prefer to tear it down. So that's
Yeah.
why we got people that constantly talks crazy on the
Yeah.
internet. If it's not, and they don't talk about none of these other. Now I know it ain't a white black thing, but kind of in our community is a black thing. Why you
Mhm.
don't talk about these Fortune 500 companies and you
That's true.
study talking about us because you want to tear it down because you can't have it. Just be quiet and just accept it and move on. Build your own foundation. And if you can't have it, then move on. Because we study telling people they need to retire, they old, or you're not bringing in the youth. We can't bring in the youth unless they want to come. When we went to the parties, did nobody bring us? We saw it. Oh, okay, what's this? We was curious. We
Right.
liked it. We stayed. So
And
if
also, it's an age thing. I mean, we're like people who were bringing us in might have been in their 20s or maybe in their 30s. You know what I'm saying? They were still youthful people. Being a part of the house music community now, you have to recognize that there is this is an intergenerational thing, but the generations don't go down that deep.
in this
You
country,
know,
in this country, in other
and in the
countries, it's
city,
different.
and in the
Yeah,
city.
in
Let's get
this
real specific. And on the
and we
South Side.
yeah, and then you got people that don't want to be partying with somebody that's 20 years younger than them. You know,
Right.
so they may
Right.
feel a certain way about that because they got grandkids. They don't want to party with their grandkids. Then you got some grandmothers that have no problem with partying with their
Mm-hmm.
grandkids or their
Mm-hmm.
great grandkids. But you know, when we do have parties, that's a whole nother different
Yeah.
generation of people. But
Absolutely.
they listen to a different style of music. It's
Mm-hmm.
not the same. It's house, but it's different.
Yeah, it
It's a
is
little
different.
harder. It's a little bit more on the EDM side, but
Uh-huh.
they're younger. And music is sort of generational. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? You always gravitate to that sound that you grew up with,
And
from
I
that.
think the younger crowd, when I think of DJs who appeal to a younger crowd who may be like semi from our generation, somebody like Superman, there are others who understand that you have to have an open format, and if you're going to be playing house, it is not 10 minutes of a track. It is not what you would be promoting, Reggie, or what the things that we
And that's
like.
my thing. Don't be asking me to DJ and that ain't what you do. You ain't playing a
Right,
record for 10 minutes,
right,
but you want to come in and change my format because you think I'm hating on you. I really don't know you. I'm doing what I do. And if you can fit into the format of what I'm doing, then hey, we might be able to make it. But when you come in and try to change, it doesn't make sense.
right. Timmy, I agree with you. You don't retire from music. DJs don't retire. And I knew you were in jest, so I knew
Yeah, I
I
mean,
wasn't
well,
kidding.
they come up with these formats of what they thought was going to work. Okay, let's get into a DJ group, right? What is a DJ group? You know what I mean? Why would I want to be into a DJ group when it's an individual sport? When I go up to play, I want to play every day of the week. Why would I have a group of DJs when it's my turn to DJ? What? You
It's
ain't
a
DJ?
different kind of party, though. I mean,
Yeah,
so when you have Chosen Few, for example, doing a lunchtime jam, it's a 1 hour party and there's three DJs. Or when Tracy Waugh have me and Celeste and two other women, DJing for, or First Lady on a lunchtime jam. You got 20 minutes, so you have to make it. This is about an entertainment sport.
yeah.
So you're gonna do two, I'm gonna do two, and so this is about like a little relay race, and people are gonna get into the rhythm of what we're trying to do. It's not about an all night party. So there's
But that don't
different
happen all
styles
the
for
time.
different parties.
But
No, it doesn't.
that's a specialty party. And when you have a party that's a specialty party, you do that. But why would I'm deciding right now I want to be a DJ. I'm not finna get into DJ crew because this is an individual sport. This is golf. I may have some people around me, my caddy or whatever the case is, to push me, but I'm not joining a group because you're gonna hire the whole group, which means that I'm not gonna make the money that I'm trying to make, or I'm gonna lose gigs because it's your
Right.
turn. I'm trying to work every day of the week because
Yeah.
this is what people don't understand. There's some of us that have sacrificed and is blessed to do what we love. There's a lot of people that have a day job, but they want to be a DJ,
Mm-hmm.
or they
Mm-hmm.
say they're a DJ,
Right.
and they want to quit their job and just be DJing.
Right.
But you want to tell the guys that actually made the sacrifice to become a DJ and live that life to
Right.
quit, to make room for you. It's an individual sport. I am
Right.
doing it for me and my family, not you and your family.
Right. You're
Well, I'm
making a
curious
good
about
point. Go ahead, Lauren. Sorry.
I'm a little curious about that. First of all, I love your point about DJs having style, sort of using Dwayne Powell as an example of that, and then using some of the women DJs as well. Something about their style, their hair, something that they do. So how is it, so like now, do you think there's a style? Because back in the day, it wasn't like the Chosen Few had a look or something. They were a team. They were a group, like you're saying now. Is sort of obsolete to a certain degree because if people want to get on all the time and make a living out of it, maybe they can't be in a group. But what is it about style? What is it? What can they do to, like, what are the things that you're seeing that give a particular DJ a style? What should they be striving to, how to set themselves apart?
Well, what I think is that when you look at the Chosen Few, and you're trying to come up and use them as an example of how to make it, Batman and Wayne and, in the beginning and when they was doing, they basically was throwing parties and they was actually throwing their own parties. So they was the DJs of the party. So it wasn't like, people was hiring them outside of that, but they was basically throwing their own parties and putting their self on. So you can't use that as an example of how to make it unless you do the same thing. Get your group and throw your own parties and see what comes out of it. but you can't use that as example if you're gonna make it as an individual. And you can't have no 30, 40 DJs talking about we're gonna be sharing this box, because it's not about that. You have to have the small niche of people. And if you throw a party, you guys are the only ones gonna be DJing, because people get used to your sound and they want to see you. You are an entertainer, so you entertaining the same thing. If you go, you remember Frankie Beverly and Mays used to come to Chicago every holiday. The OJ, every holiday. It was a staple. So you're a staple. You do what you do. Now, far as people hire, picking up on you and hiring you to do different gigs, that's your momentum. When we see and hear somebody's hot, we want a part of that, because we know we could put this package. You see right now it's 3 of us on here. Okay, that flyer look nice. It's dope. We all DJ. I'm gonna take this flyer, make it, put it on there, and see if it sells. People gonna be like, oh, okay, Lauren, oh, Lori, Reggie, oh, I'm going to that party. That's what I'm trying to put together, a package that sold. Now, if I got 3 people that nobody recognize or know, or 3 people that they haven't seen nowhere but on the internet, they're gonna be like, I ain't going to that.
Not going to that.
and that's not what I'm trying to do,
Right.
And the chosen few, they don't understand it. The chosen few was individual DJs that was already made and working.
Yeah. So Alan is commenting here.
Yeah.
That he's always done. I said, Alan's commenting here. Thanks for the comment. We've always done our own thing and put our own self.
Alan, get on out of here. Alan, I heard you on. Alan was on the interview and the DJs was like saying some things that Alan said, I understand their frustration. I can't understand their frustration, because how can you be frustrated about some stuff that you're not actually, it's not your right. You have to earn it. And if you do work hard, see, a lot of DJs say, I know I'm cold, I be beating the box. Wrong. People have to say you be beating the box.
That's true.
That's how you get on. Not by you tooting your own horn how great you are. Somebody has to talk about how great you are, and it can't be 1 or 2 of your friends. It has to be people, period.
It has to be a legitimate surrogate. Somebody who is taken seriously.
And that's be happening. Man, they just hating on me. I know I'm cold. How do you know you cold? I haven't heard nobody say you was cold.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's the thing. It's just like, you frustrated for no reason. Now, if you want to sit down and talk to me and I can give you some pointers on maybe what I think that might happen for you if you do this, I tell DJs, pass out CDs until you just can't pass them out no more.
Does anyone ask you for advice, Reggie?
Yeah, some people don't want my advice, because I have a problem with I can't really lie. I just tell you how I feel. So
are you kind of like the Simon Cowell of the house music? Like, you're just not going to hold back. You're going to be like, you know what? You shouldn't do this.
I mean, I'm going to tell you an honest opinion. You know what I mean? I can't sugarcoat it, because it just ain't in my DNA. I feel like I'm lying to you if I don't tell you the truth. If I don't tell you actually how I'm feeling, it's sort of like I'm lying to you, and it kind of eats at my gut, so it don't be no harm. People say I'm straight ground beef, Chuck, I don't have no filter, and I can say it, but I feel good about being able to talk to you, and you can tell me I'm wrong, and then I can understand and come back and say, yeah, I was wrong. But I might not let you know I'm wrong, but I'm not gonna do it again. But when I tell you something, it's from the heart. It ain't from no hate or something that I just magically came out, and not trying to help you. I know DJs are trying to. It's kind of hard to get on in the first place, and it has always been hard. You have to be in a certain situation. You know what I mean? Somebody has to take a liking to you, maybe. But how could I possibly take a liking to somebody that's constantly on the internet talking negative?
Right.
Don't nobody want to be a part of that. And then we have different things. People are upset at you for several reasons when you throw a party. I can't get in free. People feel entitled. I can't get in free. Me? or they want to sit in the DJ booth while the DJ is working. Why are you in the DJ booth? This person is working and concentrating, and you're trying to have a conversation. Really, you're not. You're just standing there so you can get some of that shine.
Right.
So
I have to agree with you. That is much as I love friendship, it's a little bit annoying.
Yeah, but then they get mad at me because I asked them to get out the booth. Because that person is working. You know, I don't come up to your job and stop you from working, so why would you stop the DJ? I don't really understand that.
I'm always wanting to be a trainer. I always want to be.
You're echoing for some reason.
Come on back on. Don't be scared.
Say that again.
I'm taping this on another medium as well. But so y'all talking about me, the person who always wants to get in free, and of course must chit chat with the DJ the entire time. So y'all talk about me and my friends. Yeah, that's just me.
Well, now I'm gonna make you a DJ, and I'm gonna make you the promoter of the party. You spent your money, your time, and your hard work to put it together, and it's a production that you put together, and then the people want to come in for free. Shouldn't you yield some kind of return off of your investment? So far as the DJ booth, now I'm gonna make you a DJ and you concentrating trying to figure out what you're gonna play next, the blends or whatever. And here goes somebody's trying to have a conversation while you got the headphones in one ear, listening to the monitor, and you can't understand what they talking about, but they sitting up here bothering you. Now you're gonna tell me what kind of sense does that make?
Mm-hmm. Keyword.
So now you got to understand some of these things. You have to take yourself out and put yourself in their shoes and see what the problem is. Because one of the things is, what would you possibly want to talk to the DJ and being standing in the booth when this party is supposed to be about the experience in the music?
Because you're trying to connect to the power. Anytime that you're in a space where the power is, you want to be close to that, where the energy is. And I mean, I have to say, when I go into a party, if I know the DJ, I want to at least just do sort of eye-to-eye contact. Like, I see you, I appreciate you. I like when people do it to me. I want to get, it can't be all night. And sometimes I have been places where I had to actually have somebody like stand there and like rebuff people when it's a big crowd, like 1,000 people or 2,000 people or something. And I was like, I just need you. My friend Anise used to do it. Just stand there and just ask them what they want, because it can get annoying, but it could also give a DJ energy. I don't know, you DJs, Alan, you're watching, sometimes it's pretty cool.
You speak and say your piece and move on.
Yes, that's what you do.
That's what you do. Stand there and just take up all the energy. You just stand right there and then you asking what's that record, what this and this. Come on, man, this ain't school. Get away from here. Because it takes your concentration off of what you're doing, especially when you're in a zone. When you're in a zone, I ain't even gonna walk up to talk to you because you're in this space. And I don't want you to get out of that space because you're about to make this room and it's about to explode because you didn't got to that place where you was, finally or whatever. You might have walked in. It might take you an hour. It might take you 10 minutes. But once you get into that groove, you don't want nobody messing with that groove. And as a promoter, you can recognize when that DJ is in that space and you want to protect them while they're playing.
Right. Yeah, Jamie, I agree with you. Sometimes the booth is the VIP room, coat check, purse check, and photo shoot op. Yes, sir. I would agree.
And back in the day, it's just that they don't understand. I come from another era, right? Well, I try to give you the experience of what I experienced as a kid. The booth was off limits. Actually, the booth was black. You didn't see it. You didn't go near it. And that DJ was able to be and do his thing without being interrupted. But now you got to play politics. You got to do a whole lot of different things. You have to, you got to.
It's a different world.
Yeah, you got to do a lot of different things, but it's still that DJ booth should be off limits. And you should respect that the DJ is working. And it's not about, when you walk on, you catch their eye, you say hi, you can move on. But standing there trying to have a conversation, and then there's other people that want to come up and speak, speak your piece and move on and go do what you're supposed to do. Go dance. Because I thought you
Yeah,
came to the party
that
to
would be good
yeah, I
to
thought
go
you came
dance.
to the party to hear the music. I didn't
But
come
they
to the
don't.
yeah,
They come for a lot of reasons. You know, we just talked about this earlier. Do people come to parties just to hear the music? They
not no
don't.
more.
They
Not
don't.
no more.
They
So
do.
you have to
I
appease and do all that. That's another thing about the DJs. When
Right.
you know you have a production and you put it together and you got a weekly party, you actually want a maestro in the building. You don't want to rotate DJs, but people come for different reasons, so you got
Right.
to give them different flavors now
Yes, you do.
because they demand it.
Yes, you
And
do.
if you don't give it to them, they won't come.
I agree,
But
and I think we have a lot. I see Terry Hunter, Alan King, Leonard Roy, a lot of DJs. Sheldon Randolph. Hey, thanks for watching. Um, you can attest to this. There is a reason why people will put different DJs in a lineup because our attention spans are a little bit different, and folks come to hear their favorite DJ. So if I go to a party, I mean, or you know, I can tell you how many parties all you DJs can attest to this, and you just got off, and your people just got there, and it's like, well, you know, 10, 20 people just showed up, and it's like, dude, I was on. Sorry, I missed it. They're ready to go. It's like, no, stay. There's a lot of
yeah,
good music that, you know, we're you might hear the same thing. Stick around, you know. We
yeah.
got
But if
different
you got a
styles.
resident, if you got a resident, the trick is that you know these people might like this different particular DJ, and you invite that DJ to come, but your resident DJ, right?
Yes.
You bring the guests, but your resident is going to grab some of those people because evidently you got that resident because he must be good or she must
That's
be
right.
great.
That's right.
And they're going to pick off some of them people. So you do bring different guests so you can pick off some of those people so they could become
Mm-hmm.
regulars in your party.
Right.
Because you know most people don't understand. You can throw a party and your friends. You can have a great birthday party, but them people ain't coming back. Your
That's true.
friends don't come to every party. I need strangers, you know, because the strangers are the ones gonna come. Your friends gonna come to your birthday party and they ain't coming out no more.
Yeah. What's up, Ken?
To next week or somewhere over there. You know,
Reggie,
that's
it's so clear that you are a mad professional at this game, so you understand all the different facets of having these parties. You know, I think it's certainly sometimes when you think about, you know, curating these events or having these residencies and parties, if it's a Friday night and people are coming from work or something like that right after work, then people are sort of doing a different thing. Maybe they're not coming to just party, let it all hang out, listen, they're drinking, they just want
Yeah.
some, you know, something in the background. So sort of understanding that game, you know, so the timing, the DJ, all those things are so critical for the work that you know, for what you're looking to do there. So 20 years of curating Chicago or global events, Reggie, what can you teach? What can you tell other people about the promotions game in Chicago if people are looking to do that in the future?
what
That's
did
right.
Leonard just say?
He
Did you
said,
hear me?
when's the last time people paid to enter a party in Chicago that drew 200 people? I think there are a lot of parties, Leonard, but I'll
I
let
think Leonard,
Reggie
I think
answer
Leonard,
that.
you should stop being a heckler. We're trying to keep house music alive, not tear it down. So every time you turn around, you got something sarcastic to say. Stop it. You my man. Let's keep it going. Let's stop bringing up these crazy questions of why this and what this and who when and why. It's about us trying to preserve house music so we can take it to another generation and we can keep this going. It ain't about trying to tear it down. You know, stop it. Knock it off, man.
He just
That
stopped
shit
it by
hurt.
telling you you're a great promoter. That's it. That's all. End of story.
And
Thank you,
keep it
Leonard.
like that. Don't talk about nobody. Be about yourself. You know what I mean? Now we might talk in other places.
Mm-hmm.
Hey girl. So we might talk, yeah, see, we gotta realize what we talking about women, right?
Mm-hmm.
We got a woman right here. She coming. You know what I mean? Because she's keeping her head down and she's studying. You know, most of these people come in and they don't study. You got to study the DJs that's out there doing it so you can figure out what works for you. You know, you come in with your own style, but you got to take some of them styles from these other cats that's out here that's already doing it. and then you put it into your style and make it your very own. But just to come in and be like, hey, I'm gonna play the way I want to play. Y'all either like it, love it, or hate it. You might not make it. You know what I mean? But at least give yourself a chance by giving something that the people want to hear. You know, don't think about it, know about it. Use the other DJs as guinea pigs. I can walk in a room and you could be playing Laurie and I could be like, oh, they like that record. So I'm going to take that record and put it in my rotation.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You know?
Everyone does it.
But Lauren, what did you just say? What can you give to somebody that's trying to come out here and to be promoters?
Yes.
It's a trick to that too. It's a trick to that too. Actually,
you answered a lot of that question by telling people to study.
Yeah, but it was
jump in, you got to study that.
Yeah, but it was an incident, and that we got to understand about about being a promoter, right? And they was like, you know, they had this thing. I think it was last year or something that came up. When did the promoters are trying to be superstars too? When did they be trying to, you know, like they're trying to take the stardom, you know, of like DJs, right? And I was like, probably you don't understand what promoters do. Most promoters was popular. That's the reason why they got into the game in the first place. That's the start of it, you know, because you're a people person or people know you. Now you got to put a package together to bring them to a party. But you can't be an invert and actually get people to come out unless you create a brand and then you just market that brand and then you get a style of whatever the production that you're doing and you may get some people and then they tell the friends and so on. But as a person that wants to be a promoter, you got to be out there with the people. You know, you got to shake hands. You got to be a politician.
Yes, you do. Absolutely. Like everything else. Hey, there's one thing I wanted to ask you about. It has absolutely, I don't think, anything to do with anything, except that I've been noticing it a lot on your Facebook feed. And that is, let me get my application together.
What do I have on? Oh, bike ride.
You've been riding the bike a lot.
Well, I used to be a messenger too, down in the loop, right? So I just, you know, the gyms closed up, and I was like, man, it's time to bring that bike out. So I would go on the bike and go live. So
that is so cool. That is so cool.
And the trick of it is that I wouldn't just put my phone up and just go live. I would take my phone and then I would use the interface, right? So it's the same thing, you know, when you DJing and you got your iRigs or your Go Mixer plugged up or whatever, and you playing the music direct. So I would make a playlist and ride. And I might ride after this show. It's just like I gotta ride every day, you know. And
that's great. Keeps
then
you healthy.
people start saying, I want to ride, you know, and they kept on saying, I don't know what I'm gonna ride. You know what I mean? It just be like something in my body. I got to get out. I got to go ride for about an hour, you know.
That's good.
And then I just say, well, what I'm going to do is, since people asking, I'll tell them to meet me at the promontory on Saturday if I don't have anything to do at 7:00 and let's ride.
Mega says, definitely let him know. He didn't know you were a cyclist. He says he wants to see you on the bike path.
Well, that's another thing. I don't particularly like the bike path. You know, like I said, I was a messenger. I love riding in the streets.
Oh my God.
I agree. It is.
Love it. I love it.
That's bike. You got to be tight. You got to be tight.
I mean, you know, and it's not that much traffic out right now because that would tear you crazy. But it ain't that many people out there, you know. So especially at night, it just be empty. But you know, a lot of people don't.
You guys are funny.
They're crazy out here, but. You know, I like to go in between cars and all that. But when I'm riding with people, we got to get on the bike path. The bike path is dangerous, too, because last Saturday we was riding, and this skateboarder was riding with his head down and almost ran dead into him because they don't be paying attention because we be riding. We don't just be cruising.
Right. Disco hoppy. Got a disco.
So this Saturday, 7:00, meet me at the promontory, and we could take off and take whatever route you want to go. Maybe we'll go down to the bike path and then go downtown to the Riverwalk.
So we are almost, thank you for that. And we're actually past time. But I did want to ask you this. How are you dealing with this pandemic? How is it treating you? I know business is not great for people whose full-time job is entertainment. So talk a little bit about that and how
I
you
couldn't
see
tell
things
you
moving
anything.
forward.
It's driving me crazy. That's why I'm on the bike, because it gives me a peace of mind. Because it's crazy. It's just like we had a chance to open up, right?
Yeah.
And then Lori turns around and close the bars that don't serve food. And when you can go downtown and you can see these people with no mask, no social distancing, and it's just packed. So why are you picking choosing what you're doing? You either open or close them all, you know, or you come with a mandatory mask,
Right.
you know, because another thing, if you thinking you trying to make some curve, why is it that we in Blue Island or we in another suburb and they can get 200-300 people in their clubs?
They're doing that?
Yeah, you can go to a few places that got a capacity. It depends on what they're saying. They're saying, well, you got to go with 25% of your capacity, right? That ain't what Lori's saying. 50 people, period.
But Blue Island is not Chicago.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. What difference does it make? Because the people in Chicago are going to go to Blue Island and they're going to party and they're going to come right back. So if they go there, you know, so what difference does it make?
Greg, I agree. Sheldon says that he's closed. So a lot of people are closed during this time period. And, you know, we've taken to the internet.
Yeah, you know, we're talking about, I mean, like Clark Street, right?
Yeah.
Come on. What do you I was on the Riverwalk, and I'm talking about the Riverwalk goes from Wacker all the way to the lake. Right? People all over the place. No mask, no nothing. Children, black, white, orange, Hispanic, whatever, Chinese, just everybody.
Right.
No social distancing, nothing. But it's okay for them. But I get it. We do need to have some type of social distance. We do need to have a mask or whatever. Or we need to know the people that we're around, what are they doing for themselves or who they're around. Because one of the things is that the kids don't care because they don't think that it affects that. We're a little older, so we look a little, you know, different at things in health and, you know, as we getting older, our bodies are changing. So we don't want no complications and different things. The kids like, it's a cold. It ain't nothing. I had it for 2 weeks and I'm out here. So it's a little different than them. It's less of them dying, you know. So they see things a little different.
So what do we do moving forward? I mean, I think there's a good chance, Reggie and Lauren and everybody, that we're going to be stuck inside. Not necessarily inside, but we're going to be stuck in this place for a while until there's a vaccine, or hopefully, as our orange man says, it just magically disappears. He's not off. Often these flus do magically disappear. They do. So,
well, this ain't no flu. This is a virus. It ain't going nowhere.
Spanish flu was pretty virulent and it disappeared. There wasn't no vaccine, not that I'm aware of. But I think that we have to we got to figure out what we're going to do as a community. What are we going to do?
Well, what could we do? I mean, we're doing a lot of the stuff is that actually, you know, that's what's really pissing me off is like, if you're going to close it all. Then we can do what we need to do because we can entertain you over the internet.
Right.
You know, and we can get some type of income from it. But when you open and close and you pick and choose, then you're not giving us much of an option. But when everything was closed down, it was wide open. You tune into the internet and, you know, then the social media companies started changing. Then they started coming out with different platforms. Mixcloud came up with their version of live.
Yeah, people have gotten very creative.
Yeah, but these companies did that because of the pandemic. But then when you open back up, it kind of like, what we need to be on the internet for? I'm actually going out to the party. So now you shut some of the parties down. The internet is going to be something for the future anyway. Running live and doing some live things. I don't think it's going to go nowhere, even when the city, if everything goes back to normal, if you have a good show, people going to tune into it. And
I hope so. People tune into this show.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm getting your echo.
But that's another thing. It's just like when you're talking about the envy of people.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like when the pandemic happened and everybody started going live, and then the DJs who had been doing it for years didn't get anyone to come on their shows, but a few people was hating on the ones who was going live. They don't understand. We've been innovators. We've been changing since the beginning of this thing. We have changed through the years. We never stay the same. That's
You
the
just
reason
gotta
why
stick
we
with
keep
it.
moving. And we stick with it. We don't give up. We keep going because we made a commitment a long time ago. And that's what they don't understand. They must then make a good commitment because we sure made a commitment to stay in and do what we do.
Right.
You know, and entertain people. It's
Well,
a lifestyle.
I'm getting an echo. Is that from you, Lauren? Is it
Oh.
me? Somebody got something turned up loud. Anyway, listen, I know there's a lot of folks who are still tuning in, and Jermaine, Leonard, Ken, all of you who have been watching and commenting, we so appreciate it. Reggie, you're going to have to come back because clearly we scratched the surface and there's so much more. I mean, I have notes here that I haven't even talked to you about. So the playground.
Yeah, I mean,
and
so
we
much.
got more back there. He took out a whole big stack of things that we should be looking at on camera.
I mean, I keep everything, you know, throughout the years. But one of the things is just like we talk about hip hop. I would do hip hop and house music, but I was doing hip hop. You know, when it's just like the pandemic. The party might go back to the underground.
Okay.
That wouldn't be bad.
That wouldn't be bad.
You know, so you know, just like we're doing. You know, when I used to do all the hip hop parties in house, it started affecting my house parties because I would try to, you know, one of the things is I was able to get in clubs because I did hip hop. So I can slide the house music in because, you know, the clubs didn't want us in there because they was like, they don't drink, they don't want to do this, they don't want to do that. So I was able to manipulate and get the things done. But I had to stop doing hip hop parties because it was affecting the house. And it was two different names. It was the way we were in nightlife production. So when they, you know, shootings and fights, and it's like you build up a night and you go through all this to build a night, and then next thing you know, it's a fight or a shooting, and the night is over. I just got tired, and then I felt like I was responsible because people that was coming to the parties, I was, you know, people potentially can get hurt based on this particular party. So I was like, well, I ain't gonna be a part of it. Because y'all don't know how to behave yourself. Y'all don't deserve the party if you don't know how.
Gotta do it.
Jesse
Davis, in the house.
What happened,
Reggie,
Jesse?
Gotta turn your phone.
Somebody's phone. I ain't got no phone on.
All right. Well, anyway,
maybe a fan.
I don't know why we getting.
Hold on 1 second.
Okay. Hey, and there it goes. Eric, Chauncey, Jermaine, Tanya, thank you guys. We really appreciate you tuning in. And Reggie. I've known Reggie for, I don't know, my whole entire adult life. I can't remember the first time our paths crossed, but I know it was a long time ago. And I hope that this is driving me nuts. I don't know where the echo's coming from, but I will just say, muted. That doesn't work. Thank you for being on the show. Thank you guys for watching. House Music Matters hashtag. I do like that, Leonard. I know you're not crazy about the Matters movement like we are, but house music does matter. Linda Red, we appreciate you. Jamie 326, you got to come on, babe. I know I've been chasing you for a while, so let us know when you're ready.
Yeah, it's kind of early over there, but Leonard, you said the matters, Black Lives Matter, all lives matter. But at this point, we're the only people that's being killed by people that we asked to protect us.
Right now. I like this. You've heard about the two houses. There's two houses on the street, and there's one house that's on fire, and there's one house that's not on fire, and the fire truck shows up, and there's a person saying, please help me. My house is burning up. And the fire truck goes, and they start to put out the house that's on fire. But somebody walks out of the other house that's not on fire, but said, but my house matters too. And they're like, yeah, but your house is not on fire. My house is on fire. But my house matters too. Don't all houses matter? Think about it that way and how ridiculous that scenario is. And hopefully that helps people with Black Lives
I mean,
Matter.
well, they don't like all lives.
All right.
You know, it's just an opportunity for people to hate on Black.
It's okay. We all about the love here. Terry Hunter, love you so much. Erica Kane, thanks for checking in. Carl Wilson, Leonard, appreciate you guys. We can have another discussion about race and racism on another day. This is about
That's
love.
a whole nother Reggie Corner
This is
conversation.
about it's about house and keeping house alive. But we got to keep on touching on
That's
the
right.
points so we can get those people that's on the fence that don't want to go out because they think it's a lot of mess in house music. There is no mess because
There's no mess.
Supposed to do. Come listen to the music, and you can't be part of the congregation if you don't go to church.
That's right. One love, people. One love. Okay. We got one love. Love you, Reggie.
Thank you,
Thank
Reggie.
you, everybody. Appreciate you. Melody Diggs, thanks for tuning in. And we will be back next week, every Wednesday. Next week with Mega. We got some interesting guests coming on. We're going to have Hans actually on the show, back with Kevin Abdullah. They're going to be talking about life on 87th Street and the Southside Clubs and Sours and all that good stuff. We're bringing on Aisha Mays, my good girlfriend, with Davi Davenport. Some of you guys might know that. Aisha worked with Helen Bailey, and they did some of those early parties with the coteries, and so we got some real fun stuff coming up. In addition to many other guests, so keep with us. Watch Vintage House next Wednesday, 10 o'clock. Reggie Corner. You'll be back too, because we just scratched the surface as always.
Well, from now when I come back,
Yes.
I think that like you to talk about Hans and and Kevin and Aisha, all of my friends of mine.
Yes.
Can we pair up someone that's new, someone that's old? You know what I mean? Let's bring some yin and yang together, because basically all of us is the history, but we need somebody who in the future or right now that just.
We got some right now people we're working with. As a matter of fact,
Reggie.
One of them, my girl Hannah Viti, who is like this amazing house music DJ who's in her 20s. And we met because we met at the Vintage House show when we were up in Evanston, WNUR. And she's going to be on the show too. So we definitely going to be bringing some new energy, especially the new energy who can appreciate where we came from. That's the important part. That's why we call it Vintage House. All right, peace, y'all. I love you. Thanks for watching. We will be back next week. Thanks, Reggie.
All right. Love y'all. Peace.
Love you too, Reggie. Bye.